Thank you, Miss Baka. Thank you. I'm trying to put my hands on my headphones now so that I can hear. But welcome, welcome, welcome. Certainly glad that you have decided to join me here. And we're going to see just what we get into today. I tend to think that I'm going to probably be doing something almost every day, um, just because I haven't been in the YouTube side and doing anything on the YouTube side for a while. So I think that I'm going to be doing that pretty much from now on. And as I move forward, we'll just continue to see what we can come away with. Now, um, I'm one of those teachers that sometimes I plan things out and other times I don't. I pretty much consult the Father and ask him, what does he want me to bring? What does he want me to talk about? And when I was ministering in the churches, when I was in churchianity, I did the same thing because I hated to have a programmed type situation where it was all planned out. I wanted the Father to give me what he wanted me to have because I always prayed for the right word at the right time for the right person. And I still feel that way. So I'm just getting set up here. Just got my headphones on. But, and I still feel that way. I think that, and one of the reasons why I think that way is because I remember when the Jehovah Witnesses used to come around the neighborhood and they would knock on everyone's door. And it didn't matter where you were. You could be in New York. You could be in Texas. Oops, let's see. I think I lost my mic. There we go. You could be in New York. You could be in Texas. You could be anywhere. And the word is always the same. And I was always of the mind, as I was coming along, brand new in this thing, and the Father was starting my walk and the ministry, that if he had a word for someone, it was not the same word for everyone at the same time. Now, for a group of people like us Hebrews, the word is for us. But when he sends you to a specific person, or if you walk up on someone, he's going to give you a word for that person, for whatever's going on in their life at that time, at that moment. So it's always the right word for the right person at the right time. He's speaking to a group of people like us. He's trying to wake us up right now. And trust me, family, there's a lot of us who don't want to wake up. They would rather remain asleep. But when he has a word for us, that word comes to wake up Jake. So that when Jake is awake, as a people, we will make a move together as a nation. And the result that is desired will come out of that because we've collectively made that move. I study all day long. I listen to my teachers and my elders all day long. When I'm at work, I have an earpiece in and I have it playing. And if I don't, I have a tablet usually on top of my podium that I'm working from. Once my store opens, I no longer have that up and visible because I know that some people will either be offended or they'll start asking questions about what I'm doing, and then it could turn into something where if they don't like the answer that I give them, it could turn into something like, why is he doing that while he's on the clock type of thing. So I'll have it turned on and on my phone, but in my pocket, in my back pocket. So I can't see it, but I can hear it. And a lot of times, when we were in churchianity, we would listen to our favorite pastors. We spend $20 to buy the sermon after the church, and we get in the car and turn it on, and we'd be listening to that. And throughout the week, that's the word we would ride on, right? Well, I think that we should do the same thing. Now that we're out of that madness, we should do the same thing when we're here in this truth. So if you have a teacher, or if you have a rabbi, even if it's me or whatever, turn it on, listen to it, garner that information, get that information. because the only way that you're going to internalize it is to continue to hear it and hear it and hear it. Now, see, they say you are what you eat, and you eat with more than just your mouth. What goes in your ears, you're partaking of. That's eating. What you're listening to. What goes in your eyes, you're partaking of. That's eating. You're listening. What goes in your nose, same thing. Not only just your mouth. So, and you'd be amazed at how much work your hands do. Your hands do work, and your hands are always working. They never stop working. They're either working for someone else, or they're working for you, or they're working for the Father. Your hands are always working. They never stop. And a lot of times your hands are working for our enemy. Okay. So, and you might not quite understand that, but if you don't understand that, then just put it away on the shelves. But sometimes our hands are working for our enemy. We do our best work for him because he convinces us to do our best work for him. And it isn't until we realize that we've done something that has either harmed someone, or we've said something that's either harmed someone, or our hands have moved in a way to bring harm to someone, we don't realize that we do our best work for him. And the reason why he catches us off guard like that is so that he can always go back to the Father and he can say, "See, I told you," because he's our accuser. Okay, and it doesn't matter if you find yourself out of bounds and you realize what has happened, and you can apologize, you can say you're sorry, you know what, I was in the flesh, I shouldn't have said that, I was all carnal, blah, blah, blah. But you know what, that's the first thing that'll come up when the attack comes. It'll never be the fact that you apologize, it'll never be the fact that you were humble and you sought forgiveness, it'll never be that. It'll always be the fact that you did it in the first place. And the attack usually comes when you say something so profound, or you show somebody something in the scriptures that rocks their boat so hard that the first thing they do is that's the only thing they can go back to is the thing that you hurt them with, even after they said they forgave you, even after they accepted your apology and you sought their forgiveness. That'll be the first thing they use to come back to try to hurt you with. But you see, we have to learn how to rise above those things, because I had that happen to me. I want you to know that I've been told that I'm the leader of a cult, a C-U-L-T, a cult. I've been told that what we do here is a cult. Okay. Now, first of all, I don't line up with any camps. I don't believe. That's one reason why I never got into gangbanging, because I'm one bad dude by myself. Now, there's always someone badder than you, and I'm sure there's guys out there that can whoop rings around me, and in their street game and their fighting in the whole nine. But I can hold my own. So my thing is that I don't have to. Having some issues here. Microphone is going in and out. Hold on. Could be my battery and my battery pack as well, but I do have other batteries. I tell you what, when I get to the point where I'm about to play a video excerpt, I'll switch my batteries out, unless they go out on me first. But if they do, just bear with me, because I'll have to switch the batteries. These have been in this battery pack for so long time. So anyway, I was saying that it's another reason why I didn't get into gangbanging, is because I never felt like I had to be. I'm trying to I know what I mean when I say this. I'm trying to say it in a way that everyone can understand. I never felt like I had to be with a group of bodies in order to be somebody. I hope that makes sense, because I'm cool on my own, and I know how to move without a group. And unless that group knows how to move like I move, I don't want to be in that group. And I mean that to say is that, say for instance, and I don't believe in this, but I'm just using it as an example. Okay, if it was a zombie apocalypse, okay, if you don't keep moving, you will die. Okay, and this was the philosophy that I had when the fires were surrounding me, and Red Cross and everyone else is trying to put you in particular areas. They claim to keep you safe. Okay, but I had a problem with that because I don't like to be. If I can't be in control of my movement, I have a problem with that. I can't let you put me in a place where you think I'm going to be safe. My attitude is if I don't keep moving, I'm going to die. If we don't keep moving, we're going to die. You will see this in just about every movie where a tragic situation is going down, and there's always one person who's talking pretty right. He's always going to say, "We need to move. We need to move. We need to move. We need to move." Because it's true. If you don't keep moving, you will die. So there's a fire bearing down on us. I'm not comfortable where they have my mother. And I told mom, I can't stay here. Too many variables. I got to go. You want to stay with your friends because they're senior citizens. And seniors, they're older. They want to stick together. They want to hold each other's hand and do kumbaya, whatever. I don't know. But she wanted to stay with her friends. And so I said, okay, well, I'm out of here. And I bounced. I wasn't comfortable with that area. I had some dreams, and I was looking around. Things were not adding up, and I was seeing things that I was seeing from my dreams, and it was starting to get me real antsy. And I knew that in the dream I had to move, and I was in a situation, and this fire is coming, and they've got us up against this mountain, and up against this mountain, there's one way in and one way out. And if the fire came that way, everybody who was there was going to be stuck. They were just going to be fried chickens. And I saw this coming, and I had that premonition and the dream I was leaning on, the vision that the Father gave me, I was leaning on, and I said, I gotta move, I gotta move, I gotta move. So I bounced, okay? I get to where I'm going, and I wasn't even there 15 minutes when the alert came that everybody who was in that position that I had just left, an advisory came saying, look, you don't have to evacuate now, but it would probably be wise if you did. And so I had just left my mother. I turned right around and went back and got her. Because before I left, I had told the seniors that she was sitting with, and a lot of them are my regular customers in my store. And when they saw me come back through the door, they were like, "Oh my God, he's right. He was right. He was so right. Oh, I wish I had a son that. I wish I had a son like that to come take care of me." And I grabbed my mom, got her out of there, and I took her to where I was with my friends, with some alpha males that I know are not afraid to do the get down when the time comes. Okay. Um, one of my friends is Hispanic. He doesn't look Hispanic. He looks European, but he's not. He's Hispanic. And straight alpha. Okay. And he's much younger than me, about the age of my nephew, but knows how to do what needs to be done when the time comes. He grew up on a farm. That's another reason why he and I kind of get along, because of our sensibilities. We understand nature and earth and things like that. And his grandparents had a farm. He grew up on a farm doing tractors, and the same thing I did. So we have an affinity one to another. And so we had developed a plan, a get out plan. Because my thing was I had to stay in front of the fire because my mom is 80 years old, and I'm traveling with an 80-year-old woman. I can't wait for an evacuation order to come. I can't wait for anything like that. I have to stay in front of this thing or we will die. If I let it catch up to us or we get caught in it, it's over. So because you're 80 and you slow me down, I have to move early. I can't think about what's coming next. I have to do it now and keep, the thing 30, 40 miles in between us, keep space in between us. So I, open ground so I can keep moving. I can't get caught in traffic. I can't get caught, behind the commute or the traffic. I need to be in front of everything because I'm traveling with a senior citizen who moves much slower than,
you're rolling with some babies. At least you can pick babies up and put them in the car and split, right? An 80-year-old person is trying to walk on their own. They have desires and they can't think straight. And it's, well, no, what about this? And it's like, stop, 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 stop. You don't get to think right now. I got this. You need to follow me and stop thinking. Just follow me. So, I had that kind of a situation with my mother. It's like, look, you can't drive. Okay, you're on a walker. You can't even get your own food. Okay, there's nothing you can do except follow me. You either follow me or you get left behind. Those are the only two choices you have. Okay, so I had to stay in front, and I had to get her to stop fighting me in this situation. We have to stay in front because that's the thing. See, we have a situation that's going to come upon us, family, where the scriptures tell us that as it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be in the days of so shall it be in the days of the coming of the Son of Man. Okay, so what was happening in the days of Jared or the days of Noah? Look it up. It was the days of Jared. There were giants in the land. And the teachers who have gone before us, taught this, that we had to be aware of what was going on. Okay, so as it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be. That means giants are coming back. Leviticus tells us there's nothing new under the sun. So if there's nothing new under the sun, what has been will be again. What was will be again. The scriptures basically spells it out for us. It tells us that this is going to come back. This is going to occur again. Now, whether we'll have fallen angels that will produce this, I don't know, because I know that they got locked up. Okay. Now, are they going to be released? I don't know if they're going to be released, but I believe there is one that kept 10% with him for the day of judgment to persecute mankind. And if that's the one I'm thinking about that my brother taught on, then it's not going to be good. Because just a couple of days ago, I did a teaching and I said that when the 200 fell, it was 200 of them that fell. 200 fell, and each of those 200 had a captain. And that captain had tens of thousands behind him. Okay, so it wasn't just a few angels that fell, Mishpachah. It was 200 and their captains had tens of thousands. So you got 200 chiefs and then 200 captains, and each of those captains had tens of thousands. That's why there were so many demonic spirits and things in the earth. I'm gonna dig out my brother's teaching on that, and then we'll play a piece of it in a future series. We'll talk about it because we're gonna go into the giants. We're gonna go into all the things that we couldn't go into over on Facebook. We're gonna blow it all open over here. We're gonna talk about it all. And we'll use everybody's research. We'll use the Europeans' research. We'll use the heathens' research. We'll use everybody's research, you see, because we as a people, we don't research these things, right? But they know about it, and they've kept this information from us, but they know about it. So what I'm saying is that back in the day, when these teachings were out, our people taught about this. Hebrews taught this. They taught about the flying craft that are in the Bible. Okay, look at Ezekiel. Open up the book of Ezekiel. He's with the captives. They had already been taken captive. They were already scattered. They were already a scattered people. Okay? They had been taken captive. He was sitting by the river Chebar when he had a vision in the daytime. Thunderclap, sky rolled back, and he saw the craft of the Most High God come floating through the sky. Okay? Now, you don't have to believe in that, but if you have a Strong's Concordance, he starts describing what this thing looks like. Okay, start looking up each and every word. And when you get to amber, you will see that it means highly polished bronze. Amber. He said he saw a fire enfolding upon itself. When do you see that? A fire enfolding upon itself. Every time they launch a rocket at Cape Canaveral, you see that. Okay, so he's looking at a higher technology, way higher than his, right? He's looking at a technology like we have from today. He said he saw a whirlwind coming out of the north. Okay, the scriptures will tell you what the whirlwind is. Okay, and you just have to trust it and believe it. The whirlwind's a craft. A whirlwind is a craft. And then he starts describing what it looks like. Okay, so when have you ever seen something in the sky that was the color amber? Well, in the Hebrew, amber means highly polished bronze. That's metal. Bronze is metal. Highly polished means that it was flickering in the sun, and he could see it, and he told you what color it was. And so you look at this and you see, and he starts telling you it's a wheel in the middle of a wheel. Come on, people, this is not rocket science. Well, it is rocket science, but it's not. I'm saying that as a euphemism. You know, that it's very, very plain to figure out. You can see this. So, um, these things were taught back in the 1600s, and even before. You know, when you read the book of Enoch, Enoch breaks it down, and he writes it down, and he gives the book to his son. He says, "Listen, teach this to them for all generations." That meant that we're supposed to be learning this stuff now. So when by the time Roman Catholicism came along and took over our scriptures and rewrote everything and put the scriptures, the scrolls into books, they left things out. They left things out because religion is about control. Religion is mental control over people. So are we to be religious? No, we're not. And we're you know what? The Most High only chose one people to be his people. The rest of the nations, he didn't choose them. I don't care what Christianity says. When Messiah came, he did not die for the world. And if you believe that, well, okay, but that's fine. We'll show you. We'll get you there. We'll get you there. Because everywhere you read in scriptures, and I'm talking about the Tanakh, the Torah, I'm not talking about the New Testament. And I'll tell you this because when the disciples were on the scene with Yeshua Messiah, there was no New Testament. They didn't have a New Testament to go around preaching and teaching from. All they had were the first 5 books, the Torah and the Tanakh. That's all they had. Remember, when Christ was talking, giving you the parable of the rich man and Lazarus, they both died, right? And the rich man said to Abraham when he looked across the gulf, he said, "Well, send Lazarus and tell him to go tell my brothers." And what did Abraham say? Abraham said, "They have the law and the prophets." The law, which is the first 5 books, and the prophets. That's the Obadiah, Nahum, Philemon, Isaiah. All he had the law and the prophets. If they won't believe them, then why would they believe one who come back from the dead? See, and here's the problem. Because modern churchianity has our people so wound up that they will not believe the law and the prophets. They teach and live out of that New Testament as if it is the law and the prophets, and it's not. I'm not saying that those books are not relevant either. They are very relevant to what we are teaching, but when Christ was on the scene, there was no New Testament. None. Zip, zip, zilch, nada. That did not come until 200-300 years after he was already dead. The church didn't come on the scene. The church didn't come on the scene until after he was dead. It wasn't until 325 AD that Constantine had the first Council of Nicaea and drew all the bishops together and put them into one underneath one established hierarchy, because everything was loosely organized prior to that. It didn't come into like one big thing until after Constantine did the Council of Nicaea in 325 AD. 325 AD. So that's when the church formally was born. 325 years later. There was no New Testament when the Messiah was walking the earth. There was no New Testament when Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John were walking with him. There was no New Testament. All they had was the law and the prophets. That's all there was. Okay, so we'll go into that another time as we're going to start moving toward the Giants. But I want to talk about something today. And I was doing a study, and in my study, I was studying, as you see here, groves, because I had stumbled across something, and like I was talking about, the other day or yesterday, as a matter of fact, how I came upon the Nicolaitans and how the Father opened up that word to me because I wanted to know what the Nicolaitans, who are the Nicolaitans? Who are they? Um, so I was doing this study and I stumbled upon this grove. And this study was from a long, long time ago. And here recently, I came back on it because I was looking at something, um, studying seed. And while studying seed, I ended up coming across lasciviousness or being lascivious, which is sexually overly lustful, heavily sexual, all of that, right? So, I have these studies. Most of you who have studied with me know that I'll be running down one rabbit hole and I'll catch a word and it'll take me down another rabbit hole. Next thing you know, I have multiple studies going on, and this is one of those that ended up as a multiple study. So I'm studying seed. I end up running across lasciviousness, right? And and then out of that, I get this answer from a friend of mine who asked me a question like 3 years ago, and then I'm broken and I'm humbled because I realized that this was what she was looking for, and I didn't have her answer at the time, and that's why I said, you this word is like an onion. You keep peeling it back, and it makes you cry because, I felt bad because she asked me something, and it took me this long to come up with an answer for her. And it wasn't that I wasn't looking at. I asked the Father, it was like, I don't see what I'm looking for, and only you can show it to me. So as I'm running down these rabbit holes, different ones, I made a right hand turn and ended up on seed, and I'm like, oh, okay, seed, interesting. And I'm running down seed, and then I'm looking at seed for one particular reason, and then all of a sudden I come across lasciviousness, and I get lasciviousness, and I'm like, well, wait a minute, how does lascivious and seed, go together? Then so I'm looking at that, and as I'm running down that rabbit hole, I get something else, and then all of a sudden I end up over here in the groves, and I'm like, wait a minute, I've done this already. What is this? Why am I back to this again? Because it just keeps unfolding upon itself. The Father is serious about this thing of ours. I read somewhere that it was better for you to never have had a sexual encounter ever in your life because you would be so much more closer to the Father. And I can't remember whether I was reading Jubilees or whether that was in Jasher. I don't remember what I was reading, but I was reading one of the extra canonical books, um, one of the extra biblicals. You see, because Roman Catholic Church took all the extra biblical books out of the King James 1611. And then we've always been taught that, you know, they have no scriptural value, so don't read them. They don't, but that's what Christianity tells you. Trust me, Hebrews, they have a lot of scriptural value. And if you'd only read them, you would find out just how real they are for our lives today. So anyway, I end up doing this thing in groves, okay? So here I am right here in Deuteronomy 16:21. And what it was I had found out that the Christmas tree was a I don't want to say this. The Christmas tree itself, like when you bring it into the house, you make an altar unto Baal, right? The 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 highest god demon in the underworld. Okay, so see, this goes back again to gods. There are more, there are more than just one God, and God is just a title. And every God has a name. So if you just say you're praying to God, you need to name which God you're praying to because they all will take your prayer, you know, and and any of them will give you power. You just don't know which God you're praying to, right? And here's the thing: these gods will give you what you're asking for as long as they can take your soul. You just don't know this, and they know you don't know this. So unless you call out the name of the God that you're speaking to, the one that you're talking about, you're just using a title, and any of them can answer. You know, and I had a person tell me that I know when it comes over me, I just feel it. Well, Beyonce said the same thing. She said, when I put my hands in the air, I just feel something come over me, and And oh, that's why she has Sasha Fierce. She doesn't know what it is. Okay, what's that girl's name? Nicki Minaj. She has one. His name is Roman. That comes. See, you need to be paying attention to who you're praying to. You just can't be sending prayers out into the ether space because they will answer you, whoever they are, whichever one it is. You need to pray. See, because even Yeshua Messiah told us who the Father was. He told us who the Father was, and he said, when you talk to the Father, pray in my name. Ask him in my name. You know, this is how you make sure your prayers get through. And you'll hear me often praying in the name of Yeshua. I will pray to the Father, and I will say, Father, in the name of Yeshua. You see, he only has one Father. So no other God could step up and take the, oh, that's my son. I'll take that prayer. That's my son. I'll get that one. You know, no, the operator is going to put the call through on the strength of the fact that you used his son's name. Otherwise, that call can get punched into any one of them. I've had people come in and I'll be leaning over on my piano or something. I'll be praying. They'll come in and they'll call my name. I'll put my finger in the air and say, I'm on the phone. They know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm on the phone, you know, and they leave me alone until I get off the phone, you know, because I'll literally be on the phone in a personal call, one-on-one, you know, dealing with my father. Now, here's the thing. Moses asked him what his name was, and he told Moses. So you can talk to him in his name, or you can do what his son said, is talk to him through me. Now, Yeshua never told us to pray to him. Okay? He never told us to pray to him, but he always said, you talk to the Father in my name. So I said all that to say this, is that when you're dealing with your God, you need to know which God you're dealing with, because God is just a title. And then there's the Most High God. And the scriptures will show you capital letters for God and then lowercase letters for God. And you have to know that you're dealing with the higher God and the lower God. But they're still gods. And they were given to the nations. Those other gods were given to the nations. Those fallen angels, those watchers were given to the nations for their gods. Now, we didn't get that. We got the Most High God watching over us. Right? Their gods fell because they looked upon women and it was like, dang, she kind of cool. Like, we really got to be a god. Why can't I just go down there and, you know? And that's what you see in Greek mythology and Greek lore. You always see a god coming to earth, having relations with a woman, and then there's a child offspring. Okay. So Percy Jackson, a lot of you guys are taking your kids to see Percy Jackson. Percy Jackson is the son of Poseidon, right? And they tell the story that you know, he stayed on Earth until Zeus made him come back home, and he ordered him not to have any more relations with his son, so he couldn't have any more relationships with him. But he would always, I've always been watching you, Percy. I've always watched over you, Percy. Use the sword, Percy. You know it. This is what they teach us. Okay, so look right here in my e-sword, right? Forbidden forms of worship. This is what it's about. These gods want your worship. Okay, and this is a particular one that they're doing right here. Okay, Asherah, groves for idol worship. Okay, so the idol is always a representation of the god they're worshiping. Okay, here we see that Deuteronomy 16:21, thou shalt not plant thee a grove of any trees near unto the altar of the Lord thy God, which thou shalt make thee. Neither shall thou set thee up any image which the Lord thy God hateth. Okay. Now, we can read this another way and say, which the Most High Power, or which our Elohim hateth. But I'm just going to say it the way that it's written. You guys know, we're Hebrews. We know what we're looking at, right? I'm saying this for people who may be listening to this and watching this for the first time and don't know who our Most High Power is. They don't know who our Elohim is. They don't know who Yahweh is. They don't know who Yahweh is. They don't know who Yeshua or uh, uh, there's many other names that they use other than Yeshua for our brother. I'll say it that way, for our brother, our big brother who goes to our Father and has shed himself and laid himself out for us and shed his blood so that we could be redeemed. Okay? So there's a lot of different people who have a lot of different things to say and a lot of different ways to say it, but it all comes back to our Most High God. It all comes back to Yeshua Messiah. It all comes back to him and his son. And he has a name, and he gave it to Moses in Exodus. And I'll give you that much to cause you to go look it up. Now, some people will say Yah. Some will say Jah, but the J didn't come into existence until 1630, so there couldn't have been a J or a Jesus or a Jah. It had to be something else. So the closest we can get, because none of us speak the Paleo Hebrew, and there's no one here alive on this planet that can tell you what it actually sounded like. We do know that it exists. People can make a great stab at trying to decipher it and try to sound it out. And they might be able to figure out some of its words, but we might be able to peel its meaning over and transliterate it over into our English, but how do we sound it out? Okay, and so there's various different people, because languages and terms and things like that change. When I grew up, a thing was called a paradigm. I hear people now saying paradigm. And I think to myself, what the hell is a paradigm? Because the G is silent. It's dime. Paradigm. I see people spelling realize with an S. I'm like, excuse me? When did realize get an S in it? And then it's even in the dictionary. I'm like, who changed this? So then it takes me right back to 1984, where they had people sitting around. If you've never seen 1984, you might wonder why they had people sitting around changing the American language. They were changing the English language. And they've done it now. There's people who cannot even spell your. So they don't know what is possessive. They don't know what is an action, like something that you do. They don't, and they just use you are. The letters, you and the letter R, because they don't know which one to use. And when they use your, it's like, um, where is your house? Okay, and they'll put you are for your house. Where is you are house? Right? And when they say, let's just say that, wow, you're smart. They'll say, why, wow, the letter you are, and then smart. Or they'll say, wow, Y-O-U-R, smart. And then I think to myself, um, I don't want to say that. I don't want to say that. But I think to myself, like, how did you get out of school with that? How did you come through with that? Nobody caught that and instructed you that that was the wrong spelling and even the wrong grammar. No one caught that. I mean, if you just highlight everything on your page and hit spell check, that'll fix it. And sometimes it'll give you different options, and you have to use some common sense to pick out which one was right. So I'm saying that, when we look at these, you have to know which thing that you're identifying, including your God. You just can't throw your prayers out to any old God, right? When you know you're talking about the Most High God, they'll always put it in a capital G. When they're not talking about him, they'll put a lowercase g. So we know that we're dealing with the Most High God here, our Elohim, who is saying to us in Deuteronomy 16:21 that we shall not plant a grove of any trees near the altar of the Most High God, our Elohim. We should not set up any images, which he hates. And we're told not to worship idols and things like that, right? But yet they do in Christianity. They do. You walk into a Roman Catholic church, and that's all you will see. As a matter of fact, I don't know if I have some of those pictures. I'll show them to you in a minute. But the Hebrew word Asherah, Asherah, which is Hebrew 842. This is the Strong's, which breaks it down for you. Okay, and then we're looking at it in the Browns, Driver, and Briggs situation. It's a Babylonian Astarte Canaanite goddess of fortune and happiness, the supposed consort of Baal and her images. Okay, now I am, let's see if we can, I'm hoping that when I do this, it's going to change for you as well. We're going to look at a few different definitions and see what we get out of it. Now, this is the King James breaking it down in different. Okay, this will work. Let's look at Exodus. Let's look at Exodus. Okay. Oh, I heard that too. I had an itch in my mustache. I'm growing my beard out, and my face is like on fire most of the time because the face isn't used to having the beard on it. But can I get? Let me see if I can get that. Can I get that? No, it's not going to show it to you. Okay, but Exodus 34:13 in the upper right-hand corner of the Esor, we see images, sacred pillars. Okay, and then see groves again, Hebrew. First occurrence out of 40 always rendered groves, but denotes a phallic image. Phallic image, worshipped by the libidinous rites and lascivious practices. See, right, look, it's lasciviousness right there. Right back to it. See, this thing keeps unfolding on itself. I was studying seed, ended up in lasciviousness. Now I'm out here in these groves. It just keeps going around and around and around and around because it has to do with the same thing. We are not. This is how the Father said His word confirms itself in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses. And so, looking at this, I can see that it's right here. Libidinous rites and lascivious practices. Okay, this is highly sexual. So when we get here, now we're talking about orgies and groves because that was the original study. I fail to get back to that because I get so taken with this most of the time. When I first found out about orgies and groves, it blew me away. I'm like, they're having orgies? Orgies and groves? See, I grew up next to an orange grove, so it I couldn't figure it out. I'm looking at an orange grove, and I'm like, how are they having orgies in there? Everybody can see you. Yeah, I mean, because if you look at an orange grove, you can see down every row. And I'm thinking that you would kind of want this to be private. You wouldn't just want anybody to see. You could look down an orange grove, you can see down every row. And I'm like, they're having orgies in there? How are they having orgies in groves? But I didn't understand, the groves at the time, So these lascivious practices, it's all full of sex. And I'm going to tell you, Mishpachah, this is the first thing that the enemy uses to get us with. How many pastors Christian pastors, do you know, and slept with half the women in this church? Deacons, do you know, and slept with all the women in the church? Choir members that you know that's sleeping around with each other. How many homosexual choir directors do you got up there swinging it, hallelujah, anyhow, in the church? How many? Where have you been if you haven't seen it? You've been under a rock. But this is what we're talking about. This is the first thing the enemy uses to come get us, Israel, to come after us, Israel. And we're not talking about anything new. Look, this is an Exodus. This was after the book was written. Well, this was, I don't want to say after the book was written. This is after they have already left Egypt and the book was written. They weren't doing this in Egypt. These are things they did after the fact. This is the story of Exodus. This is the story of what happened to them when they were leaving and after they left and got in lands, and this is stuff they were doing. This is how that occurred. This is it. So this is not anything new. The enemy has been using sex to get us sideways. This is part of the reason why we're in the condition that we're in now, family. We got to get this under control. Don't think we have a problem with it? You don't? You don't think we have a problem with it? Okay, so why your daughter got 4 or 5 kids by 3 or 4 different men? You don't think we have a problem with it? You grandmama like 5 times by 5 different Negroes. With 1 daughter. And she's only supposed to have 1 husband. You don't think we have a problem with it? Why half the women in our communities are sitting up on welfare with all these children? Is it her fault or is it his fault? Now, see, he's in jail already. I already got him locked up on something stupid because he wasn't paying attention and didn't miss the traps. But he left his seed behind, and then another man have to come along and raise his sons. I did. I raised somebody else's sons because he wasn't around. So, you know what, family? Hold on for a second. That's my nephew. Let me tell him to get online and listen. Hey, nephew. I'm live right now, man. Okay, where are you? Okay. Well, go on YouTube because I'm on there live now. All right, cool. Bye. Okay. So, all right. So here we go. So, this is why our neighborhoods and our communities are in the condition that they're in. Specifically, this reason. Because the enemy knows that we can't keep our winkies in our pocket. The enemy knows that she's out there a hot thing, barely 21. The enemy knows that she's bubbling just under the surface. And that she's willing and able. You see, the maids in our communities are not supposed to be giving it away. And if it gets taken, she's supposed to cry out. But if she doesn't, she gets stoned. If he takes her and she willingly gives it, then they both are supposed to be killed. But see, we're not taught this. And so we have no way of being virtuous. The men don't have any respect for the women's virginity, and then the women, they don't have any respect for their own virginity. There's no virtuousness there. Any of us? Do any of us ever go to the shoe store and buy a used pair of shoes and think they're gonna fit and they're just gonna be just all right? Do you go get used clothes? Do you? Now you might get a used car, but I mean, come on. I can't tell you how many women will say, "I'm not wearing nobody else's panties. I don't know. I'm not doing that. Get me some new ones." I hear what you're saying, sister, but check this out. You're not even wearing the right underwear. You go get you some lace and some all this other stuff. You're not even wearing the right underwear. How about that? You got the wrong stuff on, girlfriend. To wet my whistle. You have the wrong thing on. We are running around inside of our captivity, not doing anything that we're supposed to be doing. And we certainly are more lascivious than our forefathers were. It's no wonder we're in the condition that we're in. You know why, Israel? Because we will not stop and come back to our Most High God. We keep doing the same things that got us in trouble in the first place. We keep doing the same things that our forefathers did that got us kicked out of our own land and had us become a byword for the nations throughout the entire world, Negro. I'm being nice about this. It's right there. Lascivious practices. Exodus 34:14. For thou shalt worship no other God. You see that? That's a little g. A little g. That means that there are other gods. You idiots, come on. There are other gods. You just can't be screaming hallelujah anyhow. There is a most high God, and then there are other gods. Those other gods were given to the nations. That's not our God. That's not who we worship. He's not for us. They are not for us. For the most high power, whose name is jealous, is a jealous God. You see, that's a capital G. For our high power, whose name is jealous, that's a capital J, is a jealous God, capital G. So when I talk about these groves that we worship in, you walk into these churches and they're so ornate. And they've got these huge columns all over the place. The columns, do you know what a phallic symbol is? Every time you see an obelisk, that's a phallic symbol. That's an erect penis that you're looking at. So whenever you see them in their groves, they had these trees set up and you have conifers growing. You know, I see people with long rows of conifers lining their driveway, and I'm like, wow. Okay, I can dig you having one conifer, maybe even two, because it's just a simple tree. But when you line your entire driveway down both sides, what message are you really sending? Do you even know? Do you even know what that symbolism is? And when you look at these Christmas trees, you see how they're shaped, y'all? It's shaped just like a penis. You bring this thing into your house, and you're told in scripture that you don't be ordaining trees with silver and gold, because that's what they did in these groves. They had women that I'll show you. They had women that made hangings to put on these trees to make them ornate, to decorate them, and then you bring the doggone tree in your house. I just showed you a minute ago. It's a doggone it's a symbol to Baal. It's Baal worship. And you bring a Christmas tree in your house, you just set up a temple to the most high demon of the underworld. Look it up. Look him up. Baal. Baal, Baal, however you want to say it, it's all demonic. And you bring it in your house. And then you wonder why all hell break loose in your house. Folk fighting, people acting crazy, things acting super, husband and wives fighting because you're bringing these spirits into your homes. The spirit you're supposed to be bringing into your house, you don't. You claim you do, but you don't. And then you claim to be Christian. Wow. And Christianity is a false religion. I don't believe in religion. That's why I'm no longer Christian. Because the God of Christianity is a false God. I don't care if you don't like it. I said it. And I can prove it to you in these scriptures. It's a false God. The God of Christianity. Just like their Jesus is a false Jesus in their Christianity. You will never see that Jesus anywhere in these scriptures. Not that Jesus. Because again, there was no J up until 1630 or so. Because you don't even see it in the 1611. I have a 1611 Bible. Okay. What you see on your screen is a 1611 Bible written in the King's Good English. Can you read that? I can. I have no problem with it. Can you read that? You probably can't. You might be able to figure it out. Oh, and there's my next study. You know, The Matrix. A lot of people have seen the movie, but The Matrix is in the Bible. And do you know what The Matrix is? It's right there, Exodus 34:19. All that openeth the matrix is mine, and every firstling among thy cattle, whether ox or sheep, that is male. You know what the matrix is? The matrix is the vagina. It's the womb. So now you take that information and go back and watch the movie and tell me what you get out of it. I don't watch movies for entertainment anymore. I stopped watching movies for entertainment a long time ago. When I watch movies now, movies are about information. And half the time when I watch them, what really blows me away is what I come away with is way deeper than probably what that movie was trying to say. But nevertheless, I haven't seen a movie for entertainment in a long time. The first time I saw Star Wars, I saw a spiritual battle happening out in space between good and evil, which was Lucifer and Christ. That was the first thing I saw when I watched Star Wars. I didn't see the movie and the Jedi, and I saw this is a battle going on here out in space. It was not of this world. It was a spiritual battle going on, good and evil. They were fighting over the planet. The Jedi were trying to protect the planet, and the dark forces, that was the force. May the force be with you. May the spirit be with you. The force is the spirit, right? And then you had the dark side, you know, come over to the dark side. That's the evil one and his forces. And they were fighting for the planet. The evil Sith wanted to take over the planet. The Jedi wanted to defend the planet. What's on the planet? The people. Because if you take over the planet, you take over the people. And trust me, Lucifer thinks that everything that's born on this planet belongs to him. Why? Because he's the god of this world. This planet, the angels rule the planets. That's why they were the watchers. They were luminaries, spirits, not planets that are out in the middle of space. They were set on their courses to do a particular job, and some of them left their first habitations and came here because of what they saw. Women. Got to get my hands on some. And came on down. And then they started taking wives of all they chose. You know the story. It's deeper than what you've been taught. Stop listening to your pastors and start reading for yourselves. Start praying and asking the Father to give you understanding for yourself. I was having this conversation with someone yesterday, and they got mad, and the internet went crazy, and I tried to call back, and I couldn't get back through. And the next thing I know, TD Jake's daughter got posted, and she was talking about being a wild woman. Where is that in Scripture? Where is a wild woman? I've only seen virtuous women in Scripture. And then the more I listened to it, it sounds like she was trying to explain something that she had just gone through, and something that she had just come out of, and trying to give some other women hope about, you're gonna have your problems, you're gonna have your demons, you're gonna meet your dragon, but guess what? You're gonna come out on top. And she didn't crack not one time did she crack the book and read the scripture. Not once. Okay? Not once. So let me get back over here. I'm gonna go back to where I was. Exodus 34:13. So now we have, because we were talking about our most high God, right? 34:15. Lest thou make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land, and they go a whoring after their gods, and do sacrifice unto their gods, and one call thee, and thou eat of his sacrifice, and thou take of their daughters unto thy sons, and their daughters go a whoring after their gods, and make thy sons go a whoring after their gods. That's what happened to Solomon. That's exactly what happened to Solomon. That's why we were told never to mix with these heathens. Because you will end up taking on their rituals and their rites, and you will fall away from your God. And that's what happened. That's why I'm telling you, this right here, this lascivious thing, this right here, my man, this right here, this is what got us in trouble. This lasciviousness, this sexual madness is what caused Israel to fall. This is what got us scattered, whoring after other gods. This is called spiritual adultery. This is when Israel went and committed spiritual adultery and got divorced. The father said, no, I can't get down with you. You nasty. I can't. No, I gotta leave you alone. This is the straw that broke the camel's back right here. This is what got us kicked out of our land. This right here. Lest thou make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land. Read about it. You go living among other people, and then you make an agreement. Hey, well, yeah, your daughters can marry my sons can marry your daughters, and my daughters can marry your sons, and vice versa. And then the next thing you know, you all hooked up in their madness. This is why Judah and Simeon and Naphtali, and this is why they wanted to kill the men of Shechem. This is why they went and killed the whole valley and the town, wrecked the whole town of Shechem. Because of what the dude did to their sister Dinah. Took her and had his way with her, and then turned around and came back saying, "Hey, look, Dad, I need you to get her to be my wife. Why don't you go talk to Jacob and see if I can have her for a wife." The brothers weren't having that. The brothers was like, "Look, let's go kill them all. We can do this work." See, and I know that a lot of you don't even know anything of what I'm talking about. You better start reading. You better start reading. This is how Judah, Simeon, Gad, Naphtali went and wrecked the whole town. All the brothers went. They all went and wrecked the whole town. Well, I won't say all of them went, because Benjamin wasn't even on the scene yet. He was born after the fact and learned about it after the fact. This is like when Joseph was thrown into the pit by his brothers and sold into Egypt as a slave. They had already had their days of glory. They were older brothers, and he was the young one telling them about the dream he had had. And it was like, little boy, shut up. You weren't even born when we wrecked the whole valley of Shechem. Boy, shut up. And then we're gonna bow down to you, man? Shut up. Because Judah was a bad boy. Judah would take on 100 dudes with a sword in each hand and prevail. Judah was a bad boy. This is why when they talk about us, and they know they know who we are. They know we're Judah. And they know what we can do when we put our minds to it. Which is why, I won't say this is why, but I've always felt like I don't have to be into a group of bodies in order for me to be somebody. I can walk this walk alone. I'm bad by myself. I don't need to be with a bunch of people to be bad. I'm bad by myself. Now, 3 or 4 of us together, we're a wrecking crew. And they know this. See, Judah was bad by himself. But when his brothers teamed up with him, they were a wrecking crew. And they knew this. That's why when Judah went up against a strong man by himself, he had some difficulty with that strong man. Why? Because that strong man had giant DNA. He was a strong man because he was a giant. And it took his 3 brothers to take him down. That's another study. But I'm trying to get you to understand what I'm saying. This is what brought us down. This right here. We're not supposed to be mixing with these heathens. And we're not supposed to be taking on their gods. And you walk up in their temples and their churches look just like these groves. How many times have you walked up in the church and you've seen pillars everywhere? Those are phallic symbols. When you're walking up to the church and you see a steeple on top of the church, right? Right up there by the bell, there's a big old steeple, and sometimes there's one right on top of the bell. They don't know that that's an erect penis sticking up in the sky, but that's what it is. We have got to stop going up into these people's groves, partaking in their spiritual orgies. Okay, I get it now, Father. That's where we at. I had no idea where this was going. I just knew he gave me this and to something to talk about. I see it now. Okay, that's where we're going. We've been whoring and we continue to whore, Israel. The longer you stay inside of these churches, you're whoring. You're committing spiritual adultery. The longer you stay inside of this thing called Christianity, you are committing spiritual adultery. You whore. I have no problem saying that to you because it's right there on the page. You whore. Come out of her, my people. Come up out of the grove, idiot. Why are you still in the grove? Everything you read on the page tells you that you are whoring about. Because listen, you've made a covenant with the inhabitants of the land. Who's the inhabitant of the land? The heathen. You've walked away from your Hebraic traditions and you've picked up theirs, and now you're whoring about. You're still committing spiritual adultery. You're still committing it. You have got to stop. If you want the Father to look at you and give you any kind of condolence, any kind of forgiveness, you have got to stop whoring. Israel, you've got to stop spreading your legs for these idiots. Because all he's doing is going up in you spiritually. You know exactly what I'm saying. Don't even try to go there. That's exactly what you're doing. You are called to be a peculiar people, separated out from these idiots. And just because we're here in our captivity, now's the time for you to wake up, realize who you are, and come out of that madness. This is what you're supposed to be doing. You're not supposed to be making feasts unto them. You're not supposed to be sharing in their practices, But every time you come up out to church, you go straight to the back. They selling chicken dinners back there. You're making feasts. The holidays come around, and you slide a ham in the oven. You're eating pork. You're not supposed to be doing these things, Israel. I don't care how good you make it look. Put pineapples in on toothpicks and cloves and cut little X's and squares and make it all decorative and slide it right across the table, and you all sit down and start eating that filthy, nasty swine. I can talk to you about this, Israel, because I used to do it. I got up off of pork about 7 years ago. My family will tell you I was the biggest one making pots of chitlins. I had a chitlin feast at my house one day. My mother laughed at me because I had pots of chitlins going and invited my friends over. She said, he having a chitlin party. This Negro having a chitlin party. Ha, 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 ha. I did. I had a chitlin party. Grubbing my butt off. But I didn't know any better. I wasn't in this truth. I didn't know. I know now. And you know what? I'm about to make you very sick. I'm going to tell you how he got me off the pork. I was in my house. Nephew, I was living on Robinson, okay? Nephew knows. I was living on Robinson. I was in my house. My boxer, one of my dogs I have now, baby girl, and my boxer, who's passed away, was in my backyard. And I was at my kitchen sink, and I was cleaning my chitlins. And I'm good at cleaning chitlins because I don't like to eat the dirty ones, right? And I was cleaning my chitlins, and I had, because they come in 20-pound buckets. I had 4 buckets, okay? So you take a 20-pound bucket, you clean it, you got 10 pounds. Okay, I had 4 buckets. I had already cleaned 2. I was cleaning the last 2. I cleaned them up, had them soaking, and I had gotten sleepy, and I went and I laid down. Family, I had a dream. I'm about to make you sick. I was in the toilet, squeezing turds in between my hands, squeezing them through my fingers, watching it. It was all up to my elbows, and I was just playing in the damn toilet. I'm asleep, but that's the dream. When I woke up, I got violently ill. Violently ill. I was yakking and yakking and yakking and yakking, and I couldn't get the stench off me. All I smelt was, you know what I smelled. Starts with an S. I showered, I scrubbed. I couldn't get it off. I'm in the shower just, I'm yakking like I couldn't get it off. I was so sick, my stomach hurt for 2 days from yakking. I mean, the muscles were so tight and thick from yakking. I went into that kitchen. I wouldn't even touch him. I started scooping them out of the kitchen sink. I was going to cook them and give them to the dogs. I'm like, I didn't want to get this. Is not even fit for man or beast. I didn't even give it to the dogs. I threw it all away. I threw it all away. I was done with chitlins at that moment. I was done with pork, period, at that moment. So now, that was like 7, 8 years ago, okay? Before, right? See, and that's how the Father do you. That was right before I came into this truth. He was cleaning me up. Boy, what a way to get clean, huh? Oh, that was like, I felt like coming down off of heroin or something. Well, I'm not saying coming down. I've never done heroin. I'm just saying I've seen people who get sick from heroin and then they yakking and vomiting and honing and they sweating and I mean, it was bad. It was bad. It was bad. It was bad. For me, it was bad, 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 bad. And so, just the other day, so I'm telling you, I let my beard grow. My beard's growing out now. and my mustache. So I wanted to buy me a beard brush, to brush my beard. My face is itching, and I wanted to, kind of scratch it, but I don't want to scratch. I want to brush my face and brush my mustache, and and kind of, grow it in right and comb it, make it feel right, and got some beard oil and things like that. And the only brush that they have out there, Mr. Ka, is a boar's hair brush. Boar's hair. What is that? It's hog. A boar's hair brush is hog. I said, I don't eat pork. I certainly don't want to put pig on my face. And oh, boar's hair brush, that's the best kind of brush you can get. Oh, if you got conditioner, you can just, it'll make sure it gets on every strand. And then I'm like, I don't care what it's going to do. I don't want to put pig on my face. Well, you're not going to find any other brush better than the boar's hair brush. I don't care. I'm not putting pig on my face. I don't do pork. I'm telling you, when I'm done, I'm done. And I was through. So then they have the hybrid brush. I did all the research. I'm going to tell you, I did all the research. They have a boar's hair. China has the exclusive lock on boar's hair, period. No matter where you get your boar's hair brush from, the hairs that's in it, the boar's hair, is going to come from China. China has the lock on boar's hair. Okay? That's another study. I'm not down with China. But nevertheless, boar's hair. You go try to buy yourself a brush to use in your daughter's hair, and you will find that it's boar's hair brushes. Okay? B-O-A-R-S, boars, a boar, a hog, a boar, a wild boar, that's boar's hair in the brush. So I found they have plastic brushes, and then they have nylon. I went and I said, you know what? Just give me a nylon brush. Plastic is going to bend and all of that, after a while. Just give me a nylon. It's a little stiffer. It might not be as nice, but it's not hog. This was and anyone who knows me, you see me walking around with my brush in my pocket, and you'll see me brushing my face. This is like in the last couple of days. Since last Thursday, I'll say. So I've been doing this research. I finally found me a brush. I didn't want a big one. I didn't want to, you get those nice little decorative ones. I don't care where you go, Amazon or whatever, they're all boar's hair brushes. So that's how I came up out of hog. Okay? And so you have these feasts when you finish. First you walk up in these cathedrals that they have, these houses of worship is what they call them. It's not Bethel, it's Bethaven. You walk up in these houses of worship, what they call them. And you're in here with all these phallic symbols around you that you don't even know, these Egyptian phallic symbols around you that you don't even know, or penises all over the doggone place. While this person stands up in front of you and spits this whole hour and a half full of jargon that means nothing to you, Mishpachah. Because his interpretation of our scriptures is all wrong and backwards. But he's got you thinking that he knows what he's talking about, and you're eating it up hook, line, and sinker. And then after all that madness is done, then they take you out back and they feed you a feast to their God. That's really what's going on. That's what it is. You haven't worshipped the Most High God of Israel. That's not what you did when you went in there. That's what you think you did, but that's not what you did. And that's how swayed they have you in their grove. Okay? That's what's going on. I want to look at Judges 6:25. Judges 6:25. I'm just going through the grove, right? I haven't even said, listen, I live up here in Northern California. Bohemian Grove is not far from me. Okay? Bohemian Grove, they have a effigy. They swing out and they set this thing on fire, and they're sacrificing. It's the cremation of care. And they do it in front of a 40-foot owl, which is Molech. When the father says, I never told you to pass your sons and daughters through the fire. Because that's what they were doing. They were sacrificing their babies to Molech. But this is a ritual. This is a rite that they do every year up here where I live. In the Grove. It's called Bohemian Grove. Oh, see, y'all don't believe me. Y'all don't believe me. Y'all, you think I'm playing. You think I'm playing. You better look at your screen right now. Let me show you something. This is Bohemian Grove. This is right up here where I live. Okay? This is what they do. This is what it is. And it's right here. Right up here where I live. Okay? Now, the little picture that you see on the left-hand side where it says Cult of Conspiracy, which is a book by Mike Hansen, you see the fire going. Right behind it is a 40-foot owl. I can't, I was going to see if I can make that bigger. I can't make it bigger. It's a 40-foot owl. That's Molech. Okay? Now, this is what it reads. I was going to try to make it bigger, but I can't make it any bigger. But this is what it reads. Anybody can be president of the United States, but very few can ever have any hope of becoming president of the Bohemian Grove. That was said by Richard Nixon in 1972. Some of you babies don't even know who Nixon is. They secretly meet for 17 days each July in a remote sacred grove of ancient redwood trees in the deep forest surrounding San Francisco. I'm up here. This is where I'm up here. I'm north of that, right? Because it's not in the deep forest surrounding San Francisco. It's miles north of San Francisco. They're not going to tell you where it is. But I'm telling you that we are way north of San Francisco. Some 1,500 in number, their membership's roll is kept a secret, but includes the super rich, as a blood dynasty member families of the Illuminati, heavy-hitting corporate chieftains and high government officials. Mingling among them are a number of Hollywood movie stars, Broadway producers, famous entertainers, musicians, authors, painters, and poets. Great statesmen and, so we're told, gentlemen. The names you'll recognize. I want you to listen up. These are members. Former U.S. Presidents William Taft, Calvin Coolidge, Herbert Hoover, Dwight Eisenhower, Richard Nixon, Gerald Ford, Ronald Reagan, George Bush Sr. and Jr., most of our present Bush administration's top officials, Colin Powell, are also members of this exclusive men's club. California Governor Pete Wilson, the mayors of Los Angeles, San Francisco, and other major cities. Astronauts Wally Schirra, Frank Borman, former FBI and CIA directors, former secretaries of state George Shultz, Henry Kissinger, international bankers, heads of big oil companies, Arco, Mobil, Pennzoil, Texaco, the corporate CEOs frolic in the redwoods with some of the most famous creative people in history. Mark Twain, Ambrose Bierce, Bret Hart, Jack London, Will Rogers, Douglas Fairbanks, Charlie Chaplin, Art Linkletter, and they all let their hair down. Trust me, the list goes on and on and on. Even Great Britain's Queen Elizabeth showed up in 1983. Hello. To Bohemian Grove. This is not a place that women go to, but she showed up. Her Majesty was honored with an ecstatic pagan dance ceremony, complete with expensive, elaborate stage props such as Egyptian pyramids and Babylonian ziggurats. Yet even the Queen of England could not join this club if she applied for membership. Why? Because the club is exclusively all male. Didn't I just say that? I just think I just said that. Women have not ever been allowed since the club's founding in 1873. So what is this ultra elite club with the bizarre druid customs? They are the Bohemians, formerly known as the Bohemian Club. They practically own their own county north of San Francisco. See, didn't I tell you it was north of San Francisco? I told you it wasn't in San Francisco. Like they opened it up and made it sound like it was. No, it's north, very north. We are very north. A 2,700-acre summer camp they call Bohemian Grove. Right? This is right on the Russian River, y'all. We have reggae on the river up here every year, and if you're doing reggae on the river, you're sitting right in their backyard. If you're doing reggae on the river and you're sitting on the river, they can hear the reggae from right where they are. You can't see them up in them trees, but they can see you. Okay? The Grovers, as they are known to intimates, have gathered amongst those redwood trees to get away from it all and have a little summer vacation fun and avoid the business dealings altogether for 2 weeks. At least that's the official story. Then there are the other stories, like some of them too strange to believe, tales of world leaders plotting the world's destiny in their secret war rooms, hand-picking presidents and future leaders of the Bohemian Grove, reports of occult rituals being conducted by these same powerful men, clad only in hooded, black and red and white robes, offering an effigy of a human being to be sacrificed by a fire to a towering 45-foot stone owl god. That's Molech, the great owl of Bohemia. In a ceremony called the cremation of care, sometimes they discard their robes, don women's clothing, and parade around on stage in theatrical productions in the spirit that so moves them. Oh no, I said it. I take it back. I take it back. Let me fix that. They discard their robes and they don women's clothing and parade around on stage in theatrical productions. Or, if the spirit moves them, they wear no clothes at all. Okay? Things get stranger still. And this is stuff now. See, this is an article, but this is stuff that we've all known, right? I knew about this before it even broke. My nephew did this call me a little while ago when we were all sitting here and the phone rang. That was him. Okay. He lived up here before I did. He's the one that broke the story to me. And while we were doing our research on it, because we wanted to break the story while we were doing, Alex Jones broke into the joint and filmed it. And then he put it out on public. And then we took what Alex did, and then we helped. We shared it like what we do. We take the story, we tell people. Nobody believed us, and then it went public, and we were sitting there with big grins on our faces, like "Told you so." Because you people think that we don't know what we're talking about, and that we're not relevant. We have no idea what we're talking about. Oh, you guys, you're in a cult. You're conspiracy theorists. Okay, well, I tell you what. If it ends up being a fact, then it's no longer a conspiracy, then is it? You see, when we were telling people about this, people said we were crazy. But now it's public knowledge. And I can use it now to teach you that this is not crazy, that this is real. And it's so real that it's crazy. Things get even stranger still. Stories have come out of the Grove about wild homosexual orgies. Hold up! Aren't we talking about orgies in the Grove? Isn't that what this whole thing is about? Orgies in a grove, male and female prostitutes being engaged in what can only be described as extreme sexual games. Young children. Hold up. Children? You mean like Harvey Weinstein style children? Like pedophile children? Like Pizzagate children? Like spirit cooking children? Seriously. Young children being exploited in unspeakable ways, up to and including cold-blooded ritual murder. I think I just said spirit cooking children. There are stories involving actual human sacrifice on the altar. You can read this for yourself. I'm not going any further. I'm here to tell you that you need to wake up, Mitch Picard. I'm here to tell you that you're playing these games and this is real world stuff going on out here. And it's so real that it's right here in your scriptures. This is what is being spoken of by these groves. Come on now. You see all the scriptures here. You see all the scriptures here. Can I move them? No, I can't move them. I can't move them from here. I got to go to the actual page. So let me go back out to the actual page. You see all these scriptures here? Use these scriptures. Look this stuff up. Write this madness down. Look it up. It's in your everyday world. I bet you now you can walk around and you can spot this almost anywhere you go. Look at a church and see if it doesn't have a steeple on the top. The steeple is a phallic symbol. It's an erect penis. Go inside these Catholic churches and look at some of the columns they got up in there. Columns all over the church. They got penises everywhere you look. Idols all across the walls. Lutheran churches, Presbyterian churches, they're all the same. Just look at them. Walk into a Mormon temple, take a look around. Look. It's in your face, Mishpachah. They're mocking you with it. Like somebody's taking a big weenie, just hitting you in the face with pop, pop, pop. They don't care. Because they know you don't know any better. And you, the chosen people, the peculiar people, are eating it up hook, line, and sinker. Judges 6:25, and it came to pass that same night that the Lord said unto him, the Most High Power said unto him, take thy father's young bullock, even the second bullock of 7 years old, and throw down the altar of Baal that thy father hath. Cut down the grove that is by it. That's me scratching my beard again. But look, it's an altar. It's not his altar. It's an altar to Baal. It's an altar to the most chief demon in the underworld. Baal, however you want to say it. That's what the tree is when you bring it in your house every Christmas. And you lace it with silver and gold and put presents underneath. You don't even know the ritual that you commit every Christmas. It's a satanic ritual. Yet you do it in your house every Christmas. And here it is right here. The chief tree. Judges 26. Build an altar unto the Lord thy Lord thy God. Build an altar unto the high power thy Elohim upon the top of this rock in the order place, and take the second bullet and offer a burnt sacrifice with the wood of the grove which you cut down. So you're going to tear the grove down and you're going to burn this wood. And you're going to do a sacrifice for cleansing. And you're going to burn it all up. This is what you're being told to do. So in reality, we should be going around burning up some of these churches, what they call houses of worship, because they're not. And look at what happened. When the men of the city arose early in the morning, look, the altar of Baal was cast down. That's what behold means. Like, look. The altar of Baal was cast down, and the grove was cut down. That was by the altar. And the second bullock was offered upon the altar that was built. And the men of the city said unto Joash, bring out thy son, that he may die. We're going to kill him, because we know he did it. Because he's cast down the altar of Baal. Because he cut down the grove that was by. They want to kill him. See? And that's how Hebrews act. You tell them the truth, and you break bread with them, you tell them the truth, first thing they do is tell you, you're in a cult. You need to die. Die, nigga, die. Why? Because you told them the truth. Because you snatched a binky out of their mouth. You took away the fake titty. You snatched the security blanket. You broke bread with them. You told them the actual word of the Most High. Right here, out the scriptures, they don't want to hear, but they claim they read. You don't read. Because if you read, you'd know this and you wouldn't be acting this way. Okay? That's why you need to read, Mishpachah. 1 Kings 15:13. I'm not watching the clock. You see, because see, I can go, and I can go, and I can go. See, some of you people, that's why when you go to church, you can't be in there for no more than an hour, because you can't listen, he's not even teaching you real word. He's just spitting a bunch of crap to you, and you can't even sit there for an hour and take the crap. You looking at your watch, oh, is it time to go yet? Tired of hearing this? I've looked over and seen you sleeping. Because his word is boring. Man up there sweating his wig off, sweating his weave off. Jumping up and down in the pulpit, running around, stomping and sweating, screaming in the microphone. You can't understand a word he's saying, and you can't wait to get out of there. And I go back and I look at some of the videos that I've made, 4 hours, 2 hours. It doesn't even seem like it doesn't even seem like it's that long. But you know what? I can go and go and go because the word is everything. And you should be able to sit and study and take it and take it and take it because the word is everything. But you can't because you've gotten lazy, Mishpachah. Mishpachah means family, if you don't know. You've gotten lazy. You won't read and you won't hardly listen. And for that reason, you'll grow right along with the wheat will grow with the tare. And when the harvest comes, your chocolate butt will be thrown right into the fire right along with them. Hollering with your apostolic butt, but we've cast out demons in your name. I didn't know you. I have no idea who you are. What's your name again? Who are you? Is he written in the book? Somebody look and see. What's your name again? No, he's not. He's not in the book. Okay, yeah. To take him over there. Stand him over there with them. Your mama, your sister, your daughter, your girlfriend. All of you guys will be standing over there with them. But you won't be standing over here with us. Because you will not read and you will not pay attention. 1 Kings 15:13, and also Maacah, his mother. Even her he removed from being queen because she had made an idol in a grove, and Asa destroyed her idol and burnt it by the brook Kidron. Okay? You guys need to go back and read these stories. Understand that this lascivious behavior that we have, these sexual situations that we find ourselves in, you don't go up in the temple looking for somebody to get down with. But then you do. And you certainly don't come out of there with somebody from another nation. But then you do. And why is that, Mishpachah? It's because you don't read and you don't believe in what you read. It's because you are a member of a society that has you socially engineered to think it's all good. And it is not all good. What's going on with you is not all good. Okay? So much so that this man tore down his mama's idol and her grove and removed her from being queen. Okay? That's how deep it got. 2 Kings 13:6. Let's look at another one. Okay? 2 Kings 13:6. Nevertheless, they departed not from the sins of the house of Jeroboam, who made Israel sin, but walked therein, and there remained the grove also in Samaria. So here's another grove. Jeroboam set up a grove. Somebody came along after Jeroboam was king, who made Israel sin, and they continued to go in that direction. This is how the northern kingdom got taken away captive by the Assyrians. Oh, well, look, there it is right there. I didn't even look up there. 2 Kings 13:4. Let's start. And Jehoaz besought the Lord, the Most High Power, and the High Power of the Lord hearkened unto him, for he saw the oppression of Israel because of the king of Syria oppressed them. Okay? The Syrians came down and took them. They wouldn't behave. They were being told time and time and time again to turn away from this madness, but they didn't. And so the father gave them over to the hand of the Syrians. Syria came down and took them out of the land. 13:5, and the Lord gave Israel a savior, so that they went out from under the hand of the Syrians, and the children of Israel dwelt in their tents as before time. Nevertheless, they departed not from the sins of the house of Jeroboam, who made Israel sin, but walked therein, and there remained the grove also in Samaria. Neither did he leave the people of Jehoaz, but 50 horsemen and 10 chariots and 10,000 footmen. For the king of Syria had destroyed them and made them like the dust by threshing. Now the rest of the acts of Jehoaz and all that he did and his might, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel? I guess you better go read the Chronicles. Because Chronicles, that's the newspaper. The newspaper always tells you about what happened after the fact, right? So a bank got robbed, and then you pick up the LA Chronicle, and you read about it after it happened. It's the LA Chronicle telling you how the bank got robbed. You want to know what happened to these kings and what they did? Go read the Chronicles. That's the newspaper, y'all. That's what it's about. 2 Kings 13:8 tells you that this is what it's about. The Chronicles. Are they not written? Is it not written about his might? The rest of everything that he did in the kings of Israel written in the Chronicles? Kings tells you who the kings are and what they did. That's what 1st and 2nd Kings is. It's a record of the kings. You want to know who the kings were and what they did? Read 1st and 2nd Kings. You want to know how they got Israel in trouble? Read Chronicles. That's what the newspaper is. Wake up, folks. This is serious business here. If you don't like what you're hearing, I don't care. You can move to another channel. 2 Kings 17:16. Okay? And they left all the commandments of the Lord their God and made them molten images, even 2 calves, and made a grove. Here they go with this grove again. Why these people can't keep their little winkies in their pants? And they worshiped the whole host of heaven and served who? What God did they serve? See, this is a God. And I'm telling you, gods have names. And they're telling you what God they serve right there. So you just can't be crying out to God. Who are you talking to? What's his name? He has a name. If you're going to cry out to a God, you better use his name, because any of them will take your prayers and use it for their benefit. What's the name of your God? I know the name of mine. You want to know what it is? Go look up when Moses asked him what his name was. I'm not going to tell you. I want you to do some homework. Get up off your lazy butt, go crack your book like you never do, and go look up when Moses said, they're going to ask me who sent me. What is your name? And he told him what his name was. And he said, this is my title and this is my name for all generations. Go find out for yourself. I'm not telling you. But I'm telling you right here that these people knew who their God was, and they knew what his name was. His name was Baal. And they served him in their groves. And is that not what you do today, Christians? You walk up in your little grove and you have your little orgies with your God. How many of you have slept with your pastor? Don't tell me. I don't want to know. How many of you got down with your deacons? How many of your daughters are pregnant by your pastor or your deacons? Come on now. How many of your daughters have gone out here and they've secretly got down and then somebody paid for their abortion? And you just now finding out about it. This is real stuff that's happening. This is happening. That happened. And it's not the first one. It's not going to be the last one. But Israel, you need to wake up, because you keep doing these sexual lascivious acts in front of your father, who is jealous. And this is the very reason why you are still scattered and you haven't been drawn back home, because you won't get it together, Israel. They got you thinking that you're Gentiles. No, you're only a Gentile because you're in the land of your captivity and you've forgotten who you are. Therefore, you've picked up all their practices, like eating pork and wearing the wrong clothes. We're not supposed to be wearing the crap we wear now. We're not supposed to be eating the crap we eat now. You need to get it together. I eat salad 3 times a day. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, I'm eating salads. Everybody who knows me would tell you that is so. I changed my entire diet. I know I'm no longer on high blood pressure medication. I'm not borderline diabetic. I'm not none of that madness, because I'm going back to what I'm supposed to be doing. I don't drink coffee anymore. I don't smoke cigarettes anymore. I don't smoke weed. You got to get your life together, Israel. You got to change some things. And for those of you brothers who still smoking weed, you need to stop. Because the person who told you that is, oh no, it's the herb, man. God gave us yeah, okay, okay, yeah, stop. Stop. It ain't nothing. Just stop. Check this out. Thunder crack, sky roll back, and the Father shows up today. Messiah's standing there right with him, right? What if I'm right? And you standing there with a blunt in your hand. What if I'm right? You would rather hang all your hope on the fact that you think I'm crazy or I might be wrong and be standing there with a blunt in your hand when the Most High God of Israel show up? What if I'm right? Think about that. Because I tell you this, and you know I'm right. There's more guns in the neighborhood than the law allows. 15 Negroes will be standing out there armed to the teeth, ready to gun each other down, and 2 white cops show up and everybody gets scared and run. There's 15 of y'all niggas with guns, and only 2 of them. And y'all running? You ain't no alpha male, you little punk. That's because you're scared to die for what's right. You'd rather kill your brother than knock off your oppressor. Do you hear what I'm saying? 15 of y'all idiots are standing out there with guns, armed to the teeth, and 2 white cops can show up and y'all niggas will run. See, that's social programming. You ain't no alpha. You won't stand there and take the heat. Yeah, 2 of y'all might get hit, but you're going to whack them and knock them out. And I bet you they won't come back to your hoods like that no more when they realize that we have figured it out and we ain't playing this game no more. I ain't playing it. Most of the people who are encountering me now, who are running up on me now and finding out who I am now, they're realizing I ain't the one for that. I just went off on some idiots in a store 2 weeks ago. You got a black guy and a Hispanic guy working out a situation in the store, and all of a sudden we're surrounded by 3 white guys, and they're trying to make it look like I'm stealing, and I'm the one spending money, and I went off on them. And I told them then, if you don't like what I'm saying, we can go to the parking lot. Who wants to go with me? And I got one of them talking about, well, I'm not trying to say. I'm like, why are you running your mouth to me? Am I not done with you? I'm talking to your boss right now. Why are you still talking? You see, when you put them in check, they turn around and walk away when they realize you're not taking this madness no more. I'm not living under this situation. You're not going to impress me anymore. None. And that's what you got to do, Israel. You got to back these heathens down. And so I'm trying to tell you that you can use your scriptures and see where you stand right now with these heathens. They've taken your scriptures, rewrote everything, put it in a book, and gave it back to you and told you that this is how it goes. And this is not how it goes. They still got you serving Baal. They still got you doing rituals and sexual orgies and rites to Baal every time you go into a church on Sunday. You're not going in there on S-O-N day. You're going in there on S-U-N day. Sunday. You're not going in there to worship the God you think you're going in there to worship. You're going in there to worship another God. Ask them what the name of their God is. I bet they can't tell you. You're going to find out just like the same thing happened to me yesterday. What's the name of your God? God. Okay, that's a title. What's his name? God. Okay, so that's a title of a God. Every God has a name. What's the name of your God? His name is God. That's all I know. His name is God, and that's what I'm gonna call him. His name is God. He know me. Okay. Well, here's the thing. Since we've been reading right here, how many gods have we come across? How many times did you see a capital G and a lowercase g in here talking about their gods? There's a plethora of gods rolling around out there. You need to know what God you're talking to, Mishpakan, and you need to know his name. So write these scriptures down. I'll give them to you. Deuteronomy 16:21, Judges 6:25, Judges 6:26, Judges 6:28, Judges 6:30, 1 Kings 15:13, 1 Kings 16:33, 1 Kings 13:6, 2 Kings 17:6, 2 Kings 21:3, 2 Kings 21:7, 2 Kings 23:4, 2 Kings 23:6, 2 Kings 23:7, 2 Kings 23:15, 2 Chronicles 15:16. And then I was going to go into another study. I'll save that for another time. But listen, Mishpachah, it's time we stop playing, no? It's time. This is where the rubber meets the road. We are living in the last days, and it's about to get real ugly out here. There's going to come a time when you won't even have access to your scriptures, to your word. You better know them. You had better know them. Because he said he's going to write his laws and his commandments in your mind. They have it translated in your heart, but your heart is just a muscle. It knows nothing. You don't know anything by your heart. Your heart barely remembers to pump your blood. It's your brain that tells your heart to remember to pump your blood. So this is things that are happening in your mind. You don't believe me? Get a Strong's Concordance and look up the word heart and see if it doesn't translate back into the Greek as mind. Because your heart knows nothing. Oh, I remember your number by heart. Okay, so let me crack open your chest and ask your heart to tell me your phone number. Because it can't. But you can remember it and you can tell me. It's common sense, Mr. Picard. This is why we're so doggone lost, is because you think sideways. You won't even think rationally. Idiots. Fools. And that's exactly how we're looked at by the world, because what they say, when you don't want a black person to know something, I'm being nice about this. When you don't, put it in a book. Because they know Negroes don't read. These scriptures are yours. This is yours, and you won't even read it. That's why they say things like that, because they know that you won't even read your own damn book. It's your book. They took it out of a scroll and put it in a book for you, and you still won't read it. But you carry one around with you every time you go to church. You won't even crack it. You sit there and wait for the preacher to preach to you one verse for over an hour that doesn't mean anything. He'll be sitting there preaching about that bread, that bread, that bread, D-A-T bread, that, not that bread, but that bread. He'll be that bread, that bread, that bread, that bread. And then you come away and you talk about, oh, we sure had a good time today. You had a good time, but did you learn anything? What'd you learn? What did you talk about? I don't know. We sure had a good time. Negroes, Hebrews, posse up. That's what you need to do. You need to posse up. Get your Bible out, start reading, and posse up.